I'm Harrison Graham. Here's what's coming up on Bears Now by Chat Sports. Is Chicago going to make some major moves in NFL free agency? Well, to do that, you got to clear even more cap space, although the Bears have a lot. So I got a 3-step plan to clear significant cap space on today's video, which we'll dive into in just a moment. But hey, we're trying to get to 88,000 subscribers. Help us do so by hitting that subscribe button. We publish the latest news, rumors, draft, and free agency coverage. We're 715 subs away. If you want to help us reach our next milestone, subscribe right now. Welcome into Bears Now. Like I said, I am your host, Harrison Graham, and the Bears have a big offseason ahead, as we have well documented here. They've got pieces in free agency, the draft. We're going to get into all of that here on the show. But we are presented by Roan. Thanks to Roan for sponsoring today's show. The men's closet needed a reinvention. They did it for you. Check out Roan right now. Rocking the polo shirt right here. It's roan.com/chatsports, code chatsports for 20% off. We'll get to them here in just a few moments. All right, let's look at the Bears cap situation here. Currently 7th in projected cap space for Spotrac. They're just under $50 million in projected cap space. That's because after all the futures contracts that they signed, that dropped from $61 million to just under $50. Obviously, a lot of those guys can be cut, so they could definitely create more there. The average age of roster, by the way, for Chicago, just over 26. So this is a young team. They've got a lot of growing talent on this roster. Ryan Poles has done a nice job in that area. Now, you look at the offseason needs, certainly some bigger than others. Number one, you got to figure out the quarterback decision. Are you keeping Justin Fields? Are you drafting a quarterback? You got to make that decision. Wide receiver, got to get DJ Moore some help. Edge, got to get Montez Sweat some help. You need a real center. Sorry, Lucas Patrick. Safety, Eddie Jackson could be on the way out. Stay tuned. Tight end after Cole Kmet, certainly needs some depth there. Same with defensive tackle. I think running back's a spot you need to add a body. Could even upgrade if you want to go that route. And then defensive tackle is what that 9th spot is. And then offensive line depth as well. You look at the Bears draft picks. We're going to focus more on free agency, but certainly some good ammunition, especially high up. 2 top 10 picks. Don't have a second-round pick. I think Ryan Poles will try to get into the second round. 3rd-round pick. Number 75 overall. A couple of 4th-round picks, including that one from Philadelphia. Got a 5th-round pick. No 6th, no 7th. 6 total picks. TBD if the Bears get any comp picks, but that's where things sit at this point in time. Now, something to monitor as well and to just keep in mind is how much influence does Shane Waldron, the new offensive coordinator, and Eric Washington, the defensive coordinator, have on free agency and draft decisions? Now, you would think Waldron probably has a little more power than Washington since Waldron's the play caller. Washington is not, but Washington will probably have some scouting reports he does on guys he's coached in the past, which could influence some decisions, especially with defensive linemen. So it'll be interesting to see how they target certain players based on these new coordinators in place. Now, coming up next, we're going to get into my 3-step plan of how the Bears can create more cap space. But before we do that, let's dive deeper into our sponsor. That is Roan. Roan offers the most comfortable, breathable set of clothing products known to man, and here is why. They've got their 4-way stretch fabric for their commuter dress shirt. They've got the polos, the stretchy pants, all very comfortable, all part of the commuter collection with Roan, which Roan's mission was to reinvent the men's closet. They've done that because, listen, there's always been clothing brands that have you looking good. That's nothing new. You look good with Roan, but you feel good with Roan. It's machine washable, which is awesome with Roan as well. You can save money by not going to the dry cleaners anymore with their products. Throw it in the washing machine, air dry it. You are good to go. Get 20% off with promo code ChatSports at roan.com/chatsports. That's RHONE.com/chatsports. Roan gets you ready for every occasion. Business professional meeting, you want to go out for drinks, go to the golf course, they got a tire for all of it. Go check it out, roan.com/chatsports. Code ChatSports gets you 20% off. Link and promo code in the comments and description of this video. All right, let's get to number one. I think this is the big one. You got to cut Eddie Jackson. And I know it's tough. I know there's some sentimental value there. I still think he can play as a starting free safety. The bottom line is he costs too damn much. $18.14 million. I mean, it's probably more than double what he's worth at this point. Like, he's a middle of the pack starting safety. What do those players go for? It's $6 to $8 million bucks a year. I mean, that's what you're looking at. If he wants to take a $10 million pay cut, sure, we can talk. But I don't think he's going to do that. So if he's not, you cut him, you save over $12.5 million bucks, and you move on. And then obviously you have to sign a safety or draft one. But the way he played last year, you just can't justify that contract. You can't. Now, if he finished 2022 strong and didn't have that Lisfranc injury, and then came back this year and had an awesome season as well with 4 or 5 picks and had a great coverage rating and said he's given up a passer rating of 121 this year, okay, like that's different. That's a Pro Bowl caliber player. He hasn't been that, though. He wasn't that in 2023, and I think Eddie Jackson knows all of that. Like, he tweeted out, new beginnings. We've talked about this on a couple other episodes. On Instagram stories, he said, all love, Chi-Town. Like, has he heard something already? Has Ryan Poles already told him and his agent that he's probably heading out the door? Maybe. Who knows? Or maybe his agent is just bracing him for that possibility. But unless he's going to take a major pay cut, I just don't see it. Like, there is no scenario where you can justify $18 million for an average free safety in the NFL based on how he played last year. Could he bounce back and be awesome again? Maybe, but for $18 million, I don't think he's ever going to be that player again. And then you got to cut his pal Cody Whitehair. These are 2 of the longest tenured Bears on the team. It's tough, right? They've been here for a while. They were under John Fox, believe it or not. But you get older, you don't play as well. Cody Whitehair ended last year as a backup. Backups don't make $13.25 million bucks. Now, I do wonder in Whitehair's case, like, does he want to move? Does he want to start over? Like, could he do a major restructure and, do like a 1-year, $3 million deal and come back to be a swing guard, be like your 6th offensive lineman? That maybe, he's been a team captain in the past, so I wouldn't completely rule it out. But the PFF, grades, I think, check out from what I saw too. It's below average stuff, right? Like, I think as a backup, there's value there if the contract's cheap because he is such a leader. He is a vet. He is a meaningful person to have in that locker room, but he's not a starter anymore. And I think what hurts his value too is he can't play center anymore. They tried to move him back to center this year, and he couldn't snap the ball. So I just think, like, you could talk yourself into restructures and this and that, but reality is it's probably time to turn the page. Eddie Jackson can go start somewhere else. Cody Whitehair, if he wants to continue his career, maybe he could find a starting home at guard for a different team. I just don't think it's going to be here. So unless something significant happens on both sides there with some kind of restructuring, I think the end is near for these 2 players. So who you cutting? Type EJ for Eddie Jackson, CW for Cody Whitehair, or type B for both. Unfortunately, I'm going to cut both and say goodbye to a couple of Bears players that have done some really good things in their run in Chicago. And then the last one, if you make the decision to draft a quarterback, which recent reports suggest that's where they're leaning, well, if you draft a quarterback, I don't think keeping Justin Fields makes sense. So you trade him, you clear up a few million bucks. Again, recent reports heavily suggest that the Bears are leaning toward drafting a quarterback with the number 1 pick. It's just, where there's smoke, there's fire. It just feels like it's going this way. I don't think it's final, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that the Bears front office is looking at a Caleb Williams, for example. And look, Justin Fields deserves to start somewhere. Like, if you draft a quarterback, don't hold him hostage. Move on before the draft and give him an opportunity to hit the ground running with the new organization. I think he's a starting caliber quarterback in this league. I think a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Atlanta Falcons, I think they'd be lucky to have him. I think both those teams, Pittsburgh made the playoffs last year, but I think they're a higher level playoff team last year if he's there. I think the Falcons make the playoffs if he's there instead of that Ritter-Heineke mess, which we witnessed in Week 17. Patriots could use him. We'll see if they draft a quarterback. Same with Washington at 2. Denver maybe. I don't know if it's a perfect fit with Sean Payton, but those are certainly some potential destinations. But again, with the reports around the Bears and the number 1 pick, I just think they're leaning toward drafting a quarterback. Here's my top prospects. I think Caleb Williams is the most likely guy. That's all the chatter. He's my favorite prospect in terms of what I've seen when breaking down his film and just watching him play the last 2.5 years. That's who I would draft if I moved on from Justin Fields. And look, if you move on, you save, $3.25 million bucks. It's not, earth-shattering money, but again, I don't think there's a lot of upside to keeping him along with the number 1 overall pick. I think it creates an awkward dynamic. It's like you either rip the Band-Aid off or you don't. And I think you got to rip it if you draft a quarterback. So I would expect that to be the case. And quite frankly, I expect them to trade Fields before the draft if they make that decision, because it's not fair to anyone involved. Will Justin Fields get traded? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Get your votes in down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe because we're going to continue to keep you guys up to date with the latest Chicago Bears news and rumors. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down. We'll see you soon.